Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. And my name is Dan, and it's time for a Game Week 32 episode of our tier list videos. A special week because a lot of people are free hitting. Obviously, it is a big blank game week, which maybe some people will prepare for, maybe others will not. But we've still got a lot of players to go through today. So if you do enjoy this one, please do leave a like, please do subscribe if you're new around here. But let's crack on. Alright guys, as always, we have got 5 categories and the 30 most popular transfers in FPL at time of recording. We're going to put them all on this tier list, and I have to admit guys, it's going to be a bit of a weird one because I know some people are looking for these players permanently, some people are looking to buy some players just for their free hit team, so I'm going to try and balance it out a little bit for both of you guys, no matter what you are up to this game week, and hopefully we can try and give a bit of a balanced view on the short term, thinking of just Game Week 32, but also the long term as well. So let's see what we can do, but I'll try my best. I know not everything is going to be perfect this video. So regardless, let's crack on with the 30th most popular transfer in so far this game week, and it is Lewis Dunk. Doesn't even have a fixture in Game Week 32. In fact, I know that there is going to be a few very unique circumstances whereby people will be buying in players who don't have a fixture in Game Week 32, but for 99% of people, it's just going to be a straight up avoid. So I'm going to have to put all of the blanking players in this avoid category. And I should say, guys, any transfer you make right now, if you are playing a free hit, every transfer you make in Game Week 32, if you play the free hit, they're all going to get wiped out. So, you know, don't think you can use a free transfer to get in a Lewis Dunk right now and you'll keep him for Game Week 33. As soon as you hit that free hit button, they're gone. Completely gone. Your team is going to revert back to your Game Week 31 team, and you'll have one free transfer in the bank in Game Week 33, no matter what you do. The free hit just wipes out everything, no matter what time of the game week you actually play it. So, yeah, avoid Dunk. You don't want to get in. There's no real reason to get in for, like, the vast majority of people. Next up, Van Dijk. I think actually I'm going to go ahead and say great transfer. I know that's a little bit controversial. It's a lot of money to spend on a defender, but looking through some numbers today, I was noticing that Van Dijk has got the best attacking, like, goal scoring output of any defender right now. So if you're looking for a goal scoring defender, Van Dijk is definitely the play. He's got a fixture in Game Week 32, a pretty decent one as well against Nottingham Forest at home, one of the weakest attacks in the league. We saw how weak they were again in the Manchester United game yesterday, but also going forward, we've got double game weeks for Liverpool in Game Week 34, so you're going to have a nice long-term player to own as well. So do like him for a free hit. I like him for a long-term. He's a little bit cheaper than some of the other Liverpool defenders and really gives you that high upside with those goals, which not really any of the other Liverpool defenders are likely to get goals, and goals get you a huge amount of points. It's a risky one. You know, you've got to get lucky to get that Van Dijk goal, but you've got to be in it to win it, and I do see Van Dijk as like a kind of lottery ticket, and I kind of like that for, you know, these short-term kind of moves that a lot of us are thinking about going for. Cody Hagbo, I'm going to put in optional. I understand that he is maybe a little bit of a nice high upside player potentially, but if we're going to be completely honest, he is a little bit rotation risk, and we also do have the situation whereby he's not actually, you know, that strong of an attacker in this Liverpool team. I think he scored one goal every 3 games so far for Liverpool. You know, that's not an amazing return rate. We've only got one fixture in Game Week 31, so it's not like a double game week where you're doubling your odds or anything like that. So, yeah, in general, I don't know if I would go for him. I don't know if I'd go for him. Not so keen. I think I prefer like a double up in the defence, or maybe a Darwin Nunez potentially if it looks like he's going to start, but it's going to be a lot of risk, a lot of rotation risk at the moment. Fabian Schär, I think, is okay. I think we're probably happy to put him in as a good transfer, maybe optional, somewhere around that. We have got a double game week coming up for Newcastle as well as a fixture this game week. We know Spurs have looked pretty badly, so I don't mind going for those Newcastle players against Spurs. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. Tony, I'm also going to put in the optional category as well. Still worried about his yellow card situation. I think Tony's fine for a free hit team, but I don't know if I'd want to be buying him in permanently. So fine for a free hit team. I think it's optional, you know, one of those players you could go for, but I think there's a lot of forwards that actually maybe I slightly prefer to Tony. There's a lot of forward options for you free hitters as well. Almiron, I think another good option for your free hit. I think he's got a good chance of getting some points against Spurs. I think it's a decent fixture. Double game which coming up, nice and cheap. Going to put him in optional. I feel like I'm going a little bit hard on optional at the moment, so we may move some players around a little bit in the near future, but for now, Gonna stick with this. Gabriel, permanent transfer, don't really like him, but he could be okay for a free hit. Again, I'm gonna put him in optional. A little bit expensive, and I have to admit, Arsenal are looking a bit shaky in defence recently. They've only really got one decent fixture now, and then it's a lot of really difficult fixtures for Arsenal after this next game, to be fair. So yeah, we'll see what happens after the Southampton game. But Southampton, again, a really weak attack. Could be a chance for a clean sheet, but long term, not really so keen on the Arsenal defence in general. Solly March, I can't believe I'm saying this. The biggest fanboy of Solly March, probably, in the entirety of the FPL community, and I'm saying he doesn't avoid. Well, he doesn't have a fixture, so I don't want him in anyone's teams. There's no point. He doesn't play. Same with De Bruyne as well, so he's going to go straight in there as well. Why are these players so popular this game week? I don't know. Some people are clearly very crazy, or maybe don't understand how free hits work, or, you know, maybe they're on wild cards. I guess there is unique circumstances whereby they could be good transfers for certain people, but for, you know, I've got to play the masses here. I've got to play the masses, and in general, for most people, these transfers are ludicrous, and they probably shouldn't be as popular as they are. But hey, I don't know everything. I don't know what everyone's motivations are, and I'm not going to pretend to either. Jared Bowen is... he's optional as well. You know what? I know a lot of people are going for Bowen at the moment, even on a free hit team. But his numbers are not that good. They're really not that good, considering how expensive he is. There's a lot of much cheaper forwards, like sort of midfielders, I guess. They're actually outperforming him. The likes of Joe Willock, or, you know, maybe some of the Arsenal guys as well. Obviously, the Crystal Palace attackers as well. You know, Ben Rama at West Ham as well, much cheaper, like doing much better in terms of those underlying numbers as well. So yeah, Bowen, I do appreciate that he could be an interesting differential to go for on a free hit or something like that. Long term, I don't like him. I'm just not totally convinced. I know it is a fixture against Bournemouth, though, so maybe that does push him up to a good transfer for those of you guys on a free hit. Not sure I like this as a permanent one, and I do feel like I would maybe slightly prefer Ben Rama if budget is an issue. If not, I guess Bowen is not horrendous. Let's put Stones in here as well. Actually, I could have put March all the way up here. But yeah, I'm going to put Stones in here as well. I know he scored a goal last week, but it doesn't matter because he doesn't have a fixture this week. Saka, I'm actually going to put down in... I think I'm still going to put him in a good transfer. I'm not as convinced by him as I was before. I don't think he is a player you absolutely must have at the moment. His form is looking like it's on the downturn a little bit. So... yeah, I'm gonna put him. I'm gonna put him in good transfer. No better than that, though. I genuinely, again, kind of like Bowen. And maybe we do show him above Bowen because I feel like he is doing still slightly better than Jared Bowen, and we're probably still going to have Saka on penalties as well. I don't think he'll lose his penalty duties after, you know, that one miss. I think he's only missed 2 penalties for Arsenal ever. And this was his kind of second one or something like that. He scored a decent amount. So I don't think he's going to be suddenly off penalties or anything like that. But yeah, I guess we'll put him in good transfer, slightly above Bowen, but I don't think his numbers certainly aren't as good as certain other players who have fixtures this game week. And as well as that, you know, we've got a lot of other options that genuinely look better. When you watch them on the pitch, you see them playing a little bit better. I'm not exactly sure why Saka isn't doing as well. I think it's partially because Jesus has come back into the team, which has made linking up with Martinelli a little bit easier. But we're also seeing, because Holding is playing in centre-back, the right centre-back position instead of Saliba, I think the build-up for Arsenal is a little bit more weighted to the left-hand side than it is to the right-hand side of the field as well. So I do think that is something that we do need to take into consideration there, that Arsenal just seem to be a little bit more left side dominant than they were previously in terms of the final third build-up kind of play. So therefore Saka is just not as strong as an FPL option as he has been previously. So good transfer, but no real better than that, I'm afraid. And you know, long term, I'm not sure I want to own Saka long term. I think he would actually be, after this game week, from game week 33 onwards, he'd probably be one of the first players I'd kind of be looking to sell in order to try and get some double game week players in, such as Kaldu Mitoma, but he doesn't have a fixture, so he is going to go in a void. But you know what? Because I've been, you know, I know a lot of you guys have been upset that I often put Solly March, ahead of Kaldu Mitoma recently, even though March has outscored him recently as well. I know a lot of people, you know, the Mitoma fanboys. I want to do you a favour today, guys, and I'm actually going to put him slightly above March for this game week. So, you know, don't say that I always rate March ahead of the Japanese man. I don't always do it. Look, I've changed the order today. Maybe we'll change it back next week. Next up, Mark Gahey. Nice, cheap Crystal Palace defender. Good chance for clean sheet. We've got lots of really nice fixtures for our Crystal Palace. They pretty much have good fixtures to the end of the season. The only bad fixture they have is against Spurs. But can you even call Spurs a difficult fixture anymore? They've looked pretty weak recently. Palace has been looking defensively solid under Hodgson so far as well. I think there's a real good reasons to go for some Crystal Palace defenders at the moment. I think that's a very, very good idea. Whether you're on a free hit or not, I don't mind it at all. Gahey, Mitchell, someone like that could work out really well. Michael Elise, I'm going to put in optional. I'm going to put him in optional. I'm not quite as convinced by him as I am by a certain other Crystal Palace midfielder, but I don't want to discount him completely. I don't think he's an avoid by any stretch of the imagination. I still think he's a fairly good pick, but is he a good transfer? I'm not quite happy to put him above another player who we will get to. Next up, Dominic Solanke. I'm going to put him in good transfer, actually. His numbers are actually pretty decent at the moment. I'm not sure he's a great transfer, but Bournemouth are playing pretty well at the moment. They're scoring goals. Solanke is involved in a lot of it. And yes, Solanke has been overperforming a little tiny bit, but still, his numbers are, generally speaking, pretty good when you compare them to a lot of other forwards. Add to that, his really, really cheap price. I actually quite like this transfer. Not too bad at all. Maybe I should have seen this one coming a little bit earlier, but hey, I didn't. I didn't expect Spurs to consistently be quite this bad. I didn't see the 3-2 loss coming. I didn't see Solanke getting 3 goal contributions in that game, but hey, he's playing well. He's playing very well. So, hey, I actually think it's a good transfer. In decent bargain price there as well at 5.5 million for sure. Next up, Ødegaard, who is going to go below Saka. I'm going to put him kind of in the realms of some of these other midfielders. Ødegaard's numbers have dropped off quite significantly. They're actually kind of similar to Saka's, but Saka is on penalties, which does help a little bit there as well. You're probably not going to want Ødegaard for the long term either, so maybe he's a free hit option, but first, if you're for a permanent transfer, not so keen on that one. Martinez, I kind of like for a free hit team, actually. I would say that he's in terms of a free hit, he's probably a good transfer, a good player to have in your free hit team. I like this one. Aston Villa are a team that seem to be keeping clean sheets constantly at the moment. They play against Brentford, who we know will take a decent amount of shots, but Brentford have been known to failed to score in a few games recently. So I can definitely kind of see Brentford kind of looking a little bit weaker at the moment. Maybe Aston Villa managed to keep a clean sheet against them, and is Martinez going to be making a few saves in that game as well? I can definitely see that happening. So I'm going to put Martinez as a good transfer. I think if we're going to go for Martinez versus Tony this game week, some people have Tony, some people have Martinez. I feel like I'm team Martinez this game week, particularly when we consider some of the other forward options that we have. Erling Haaland, a must-buy, of course, but he doesn't have a fixture. So down he goes into the avoid section. Sorry, my Norwegian friend. You have been relegated to the avoid section. Probably for the first time of any tier list video I've made all year. I'm putting Erling Haaland in avoid. If you're on a wild card, and you're just going to put him on the bench or something like that, then obviously he's a great transfer. But for most of you guys, you're not going to be on a wild card. You're going to be either on a free hit or just using your free transfers. And if you are fitting into one of those categories, once again, he is an avoid. Next up, Jacob Ramsey, who I know a lot of you guys really do prefer to a lot of these other midfielders, but unfortunately for Ramsey, although he has been getting the FPL points a little bit recently, his numbers are bad, which do suggest he has been a little bit fortunate. And I'm not fully convinced that it can be sustained. So I'm happy to put him in the same region as Saka and Bowen, and I think that is a decent compliment to him. However, if you're expecting him to continue to overperform consistently, particularly against Brentford, who aren't the worst team in the Premier League, I know they've not been in fantastic form recently, but they're still a fairly decent team. I don't know if Ramsey is going to be able to maintain that. When you compare him to like Ollie Watkins, for example, who is putting up amazing numbers and getting amazing FPL scores at the same time, it's kind of correlating, and therefore you can see it continuing. With Ramsey, he has been overperforming by so much. He's kind of been overperforming his numbers by kind of 3 times, The best players in the world, Erling Haaland, or the most clinical players, Heung-min Son, Lionel Messi, whoever you want to say, these players still are not going to double their output. Even the best players in the world, they're certainly not going to triple their output. So, yeah, unless you think Ramsey is the greatest player to ever live, then the numbers that he's putting up at the moment are going to start to decline at some point or another. We are going to see a regression towards the mean. If you don't like to play FPL in that way and you just like to see who's scoring points, then yeah, fair enough. But look, I put him in good transfer because I do like the fact that form can give you confidence and allow you to overperform for a little bit, but I just don't think you should expect him to get mega hauls in a game week like this. Definitely see him getting an assist or getting an odd goal, but don't think you're going to get anything mega from him. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I'm also going to put in a great transfer category. Again, you've got this nice fixture now. You've got a nice, nice double game week in a couple of weeks' time for Liverpool. And Trent, although his overall attacking numbers aren't as good as Van Dijk's when you consider the value of goals above the value of assists, he's still putting up some attacking numbers. He's still fairly creative. He's not going to score you goals, may get the odd assist. What I do like about Trent is that he's playing against Nottingham Forest and he plays on the side where Forest do seem to concede a lot of kind of crosses, a lot of passes across the goal. So I do think that is genuinely going to be giving options for Trent to get those kind of assists. I think that's going to be a real possibility this game week. So I do still think it's a really great transfer. Would I put him above or below Van Dijk? I don't know. I feel like certainly assist points are more easy to predict from a Trent than a goals points that you could predict from Van Dijk. I just feel like the player that has the higher upside of these two players is probably Van Dijk, and considering the price difference between the two players, that does edge it towards Van Dijk for me, because I'm just not really prepared to spend 7.3 million on a Liverpool defender for the long term. Van Dijk is a high risk, high reward player on a free hit, for example. But again, am I willing to spend that much money? I don't know. Maybe a lot of you guys probably would say Trent is the better pick. So I'm gonna bottle it and put Trent as the great transfer. But I really don't think Van Dijk should be underestimated. I would certainly put Van Dijk above Robertson, for example, right now. Yeah, I'm going to put that one out there. Controversial, I know, but I will never shy away from trying to do something a little bit different if I truly believe it is better. Ben White, again, similar situation to Gabriel. Not really convinced by the long-term abilities of the Arsenal defence, but I do appreciate that for a free hit team, it is going to be an option for you. So for free hit teams, yeah, definitely an option for you to go for an Arsenal defender there. Ben White has got to be in that conversation. Next up, Alex Moreno. I feel like we have to put him up here, somewhere around here as well. So let's put him in good transfer. Yeah, let's put him around the same as Martinez. Decent amount of creativity. Seems to have nailed himself on in the fullback position. So, yeah, I kind of like Alex Moreno. Maybe we'll put him like, I don't know. Well, maybe we'll put him like here. There's no double game weeks for Aston Villa, in fairness, and some of their fixtures are a bit iffy going forward. But I do like Moreno for a free hit team, and I think he's okay to go for, like I said, Mings alternative. If you want to go slightly different to Mings there. Much more creativity than Mings, but maybe not quite as much goal threat. So it depends what you're after, really. But neither of those players have super high goal threat or super high creativity. Alex Moreno, in fair, does create a lot of chances for his teammates, but they are usually slightly lower quality chances for his teammates. So not really sure how many assists we can expect him to get going forward. He's going to get the odd one here or there, though. Jack Grealish, would love to put you higher, but I'm afraid, mate, you are in a void. Let's put you next to your good friend Erling. No fixture. No transfer as far as I'm concerned. Gabriel Jesus, for a free hit team, I think he's a great transfer. I really like him for a free hit team because he's been doing incredible recently. He's getting sort of one attacking contribution per game since he returned from injury. He's been remarkably consistent and kind of really an underrated FPL asset because it's kind of a struggle to get him into our FPL teams. And we do know, the good fixtures are coming to an end after game week 32 for Arsenal. So therefore, really good pick for a free hit. For a long term, I still would back, in form forwards to do well against anyone. So I don't mind this one. I don't mind this too much. I'm going to put him above Solanke. Do I put him in great transfer? I think for overall, for people who aren't free hitting, I think he's a good transfer, not a great transfer. For free hitters, I think he's a great transfer. So we're going to put him there. Mo Salah, I'm tempted to put him as a must buy. If you are on a free hit this game week, you must buy him for your free hit team. He's like going to be the best captaincy option for your free hit. I can see a lot of the top FPL managers going for Salah as their Game Week 32 free hit captain. If you are not on a free hit, however, you're probably going to want to have your team, one, set up for now. You're going to want to have that captaincy option for Game Week 32. And you're also going to want to have Salah for the double game week coming up as well. So although free hitters might not need Salah for the double game weeks going forward because they might already have, you know, Bruno Fernandes, Erling Haaland, other players like that, you know, maybe De Bruyne's as well in there as well, kind of those expensive players with doubles, like that's absolutely fine. But those of you guys who, you know, need players for now and you need players for doubles, Salah covers that perfectly. So if you're on a free hit, buy Salah. If you're not on a free hit, also buy Salah. I really would say that he is probably transfer target #1 for this game week, regardless of what you're doing with your chips, you know. For Game Week 33, obviously, if you are free hitting, he'll be out of your team at that point. You can maybe consider buying him on a permanent basis, but I don't think you have to. But yeah, I'm gonna stick him in the must-buy category. Martinelli, for a free hit, he is a must-buy, I would say. Yeah, I would definitely be having Martinelli in my free hit team. He would be one of the first names on the team sheet, for sure. But if you're not free hitting, he would be a little bit lower. I would still possibly put him in a great transfer because he has been in good form. I'll put him slightly ahead of Jesus because I think there's slightly fewer options this particular game week for your midfielders. But again, like Saka, like Ødegaard, Martinelli genuinely might be the kind of player you'd actually be thinking about removing in weeks going forward, particularly if you're looking to get in Brighton midfielders for their double game weeks. You know, if you're looking to get Rashford back after his injury, Martinelli would be the kind of player you would sell in order to get these types of players. Grealish as well, if you haven't bought him yet, Martinelli is maybe the sacrificial lamb for those kind of moves. So, for that reason, he's a good player to own. Is he a good player to have permanently? Not so convinced. Let's drop him down into the good transfer category. Yeah, it would be a transfer. If I did make it this week on a permanent transfer, I probably would be looking to reverse it at some point or another. We've got a lot of players in good transfer this week, though, guys, which I'm sure a lot of you guys will be pleased with. Ollie Watkins, am I prepared to put him in must-buy? I think I am. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm going to put Ollie Watkins in the must-buy category. If you're on a free hit, I would say, again, the form that Watkins is showing at the moment, the fact that Brentford have been conceding a few goals recently, the fact that Brentford, you know, they're not looking as strong, and the fact that Aston Villa just beat Newcastle, who we did consider to be one of the strongest teams, not just on form, but, you know, in defence in general, one of the strongest teams in the league. And Watkins goes there and absolutely dominates them. He could have had 25 points in that game against Newcastle. Genuinely, guys, it was absolutely mad. Watkins is just a different beast at the moment. He's a decent price still at 7.7 million. If you're on a free hit, you know, it doesn't matter. Again, you know, just like last game week, we said consistently on this channel, Watkins is in such good form that he will score against anyone at the moment. And I think that trend is going to continue. And I was kind of thinking with Watkins, when do I sell Watkins? Is there a point where I would sell him to try and get some double game week players in at some point or another? But bro is so consistent right now that I back him against anyone. I back him against the top defenses at this point. I back him against Man City. I back him against, you know, Chelsea or like Newcastle. It's already happened. Like, you back him against anyone. Brighton, it doesn't matter. So yeah, Watkins is potentially a player to just hold for the rest of the season. And if you don't have him already, it's not too late to change. It's not too late to get him back into your team and come and enjoy how it feels to be a Watkins owner, because boy, in Game Week 31, it felt good to own Watkins. Let me tell you that. It felt real good. One of the treats of the game week for owners. Anyway, let's move on to the next player. I'm going to put Tyrone Mings on here, and I'm going to put him next to Alex Moreno. I'm going to put him in a similar position. I feel like just because he is 0.1 million more expensive, that drops him slightly below, but there's not really much between these two players. You'd say that maybe Mings has slightly better long-term prospects than Alex Moreno, though. Don't really know who's going to do better on bonus points. Mings has slightly better goal-scoring threat from those corners, but Moreno creates more. So it's kind of like a Van Dijk Trent situation, but it's kind of on a much smaller scale. So I don't know. Let's just put them next to each other. You guys can decide who's the better pick out of Mings and Moreno. That's kind of up to you, I guess. Next up, and it's the final player for the tier list, and it's going to be Berechi Eze. Where do we put him? I kind of think he's at least a good transfer, right? he would be one of the first players I'd pick on a free hit. Would I pick him permanently? I'm not sure if I would or not. You know what? I'm going to put him next to Martinelli and Solanke. Yeah, like somewhere around here is where I put him. I would prefer to have Martinelli for this game week, certainly. Eze, I like him for this game week, certainly. He would be, again, not necessarily the first player I'd put on a free hit team, but he would be up there. He'd be one of them. He's got the best kind of goal-scoring threat at Crystal Palace at the moment, which is very, very nice indeed. He's been playing very well, and he's been in, I guess, good form, which is going to give him a confidence. Slight overperformance, but nowhere near as much as the likes of Jacob Ramsey, so you can expect him to maintain his numbers a little bit more. For the long term, the fixtures look fantastic going forward for Crystal Palace. They have got this new lease of life under Hodgson in many ways, so yeah, I think he's a reasonably good pick. If you think that Palace are going to score goals this game week, and you probably do think that's going to happen, playing against Everton, then yeah, Eze is probably going to be on the score sheet, isn't he? So, a good transfer. I like this one. Possibly could move him up again with some of these other players, but yeah, today we are packing the good transfer category. Only a couple of must-buys, really. Salah and Watkins. I think the triple up on Liverpool is really, really nice for pretty much anyone, just because we've got a really good fixture, Nottingham Forest at home for Liverpool, which is always huge. And then the double game week in game week 34 as well. Liverpool players are just going to be the kind of players you target no matter who you are in game week 32, because it's going to benefit anyone, you know, each of us in different ways, but it's going to benefit us all regardless. So yeah, Liverpool players up here. Ollie Watkins, the absolute beast, up there as well. After that, you're probably looking at grabbing, you know, maybe one Arsenal player, or if it's on a permanent, potentially. But, you know, if you're on a free hit, then probably triple up on Arsenal. We've got Jesus, Martinelli, Saka here. You could go elsewhere with Odegaard, Gabriel White. You want to probably go for a couple of Crystal Palace players there. Solanke is going to be an option for you there. Harry Kane's not even on this tier list, but I think Harry Kane definitely deserves a place in the good transfer category here as well. I just trust Kane's consistency, to be honest, more than a lot of these other forwards as well. So yeah, I'm sure there's a couple of other players that have not been mentioned in this video. Please do feel free to leave a comment if there's a player who is not in the top 30 most popular transfers that you feel like deserves a place on this tier list, and I'll try and comment, reply to some comments saying where I would personally put them. But yeah, it's all going to be down to a little bit of opinions. But in general, guys, I don't really think there's too many avoids other than players who don't have fixtures, because every player who has a fixture this game week in a blank game week is going to have their merits. You know, any points are going to be very, very welcome this game week when there are so many big teams blanking. Man United, Man City, Brighton. I think that's all of the big teams that are blanking this game week. Let's see if we get any bites on that one. But there we go, guys. That is the tier list. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. If you did enjoy this one, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe if you're new around here. Plenty more content to come this game week. Don't forget, they uploaded yesterday. Did an additional Sunday upload of my initial free hit draft. I'm sure that will change as the week goes by, but feel free to go have a look at that if you like. But aside from that, guys, thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.